guys, and welcome to my fall garden. You know, over the past 6 months to a year, I've been using lots of plants from the Southern Living Plant Collection in my garden. They've really done great. We did videos on what I put where from kind of a design perspective, and also from where the plants would really perform well in my garden and maybe in yours. But that's really only half the story. I think we need to revisit how they're doing now, how they're performing, what things I might want to change, and just basically kind of recap what we did. So let's start out with these baby gem boxwood. Probably boxwood is my favorite plant of all time. I love baby gems. We planted a lot of them in pots to kind of get this spherical form, kind of a topiary look, in some large pots. And then I also did some smaller topiary varieties in these smaller pots. People always ask me, well, can you leave these out year round? And yes, I can. It's really not a problem. These are cold hardy down to zone 5. The smaller ones, if temperatures really fall off the cliff, I might bring them in to protect the smaller plants with a smaller root ball, but also, I guess, to protect these terracotta pots. But overall, they're really doing beautifully. I might move the pots around from one place to another as the seasons change, but basically, they're just doing great in my garden. I bet they do great in your garden too. So now let's come over here to another area right underneath my kitchen window. It started out as a disaster. I had some plumbing issues and we had to come back in and replant this area, and it gave me the opportunity to put in some October Magic Camellias, Sasankawa Camellias, which I did. They're starting to put out little buds. I think they probably would be probably a little bit more profuse with buds had we had more sun, but it's been very rainy here lately. But the glorious shiny foliage looks just fabulous. And then I planted in front of them some flirt nandinas, a little skirt of them. I love the textural quality of the nandinas and how they contrast with the other foliage here. And they turn this gorgeous purple color in the fall, so they're really going to be at their most brilliant this time of year, I think. They look so good that I decided to add another couple of gallons in front, so this area will really be filled with their lacy prettiness. They've got a mature height of about 1.5 to 2 feet. I'm going to keep them on the shorter side of that because I don't want them to obscure anything in the background, and I think their shorter form is just really dear right here underneath my kitchen window. So now let's check out the Oakland Hollies that I planted in really large pots in front of the guest house. We did it around Christmas time, so let's go over there and check to see how they're doing. So now let's look at these magnificent Oakland Hollies. I planted 2 large ones in these massive concrete pots. I put them on either end of this long porch that goes to our guest house, or we call it a studio, and they have performed brilliantly all summer long. You can see all of the new shoots, the new growth that they've put out. The one on the other side, I think, has already started to put out a few little berries. One thing that I've noticed, and you might want to pay attention to also in your garden, is that they're starting to get a little thin on the side that isn't as exposed to as much sun. So with the help of somebody with a strong back, we're probably going to rotate them a little bit so that they'll get even sunlight on all sides, and that means that they will grow evenly and full on all sides. They're going to look just beautiful this winter. I think I'll hang some little twinkle lights on them, but they also did great this summer. They could really handle this intense west sun that they get. So that's my update on the Oakland Hollies. Now let's go to the front and take a look at the Utopia yews and some Obsession nandinas I planted in front. Well, here we are on our last stop of the plant collection update. In the original video, I talked about how at one time there was a huge ribbon of Japanese spreading yews in front of this brick and stone wall that over time died of old age. Again, you can go back and check all of the original videos. But I wanted to get kind of that same look. This time I planted Utopia low spreading yews that won't get quite so large, but also will really be able to tolerate the intense shade that this area now gets, because over time the trees have grown even larger. So I think I'm going to be really pleased with how they look, especially in the wintertime because of their evergreen form. I love the really fine texture of the needles, especially because I also planted them with some Obsession Nandinas that I added a little bit later. They have that same really delicate textural foliage, plus they've got a hint of color. So I think that I'm going to love how they look this winter. So I hope you've enjoyed these plant updates to see how they looked back then and how they look now, and how pleased I am with how they all turned out.